Hello, everyone. This is Bianca. You can call me Dr. B. And I promised to do this video. I've been wanting to do this video for a long time. So I have my students coming around to ask me, are there tips that we can use to remember what we read? And I keep saying yes, yes, yes. So I keep giving them these tips one after the other. Then until one of them decided to ask me to make it into a gist session, with gist with Dr. B. So we did that with my students, and I am making the shorter version for you all on my channel. But before we continue, before I share my slides, please, I beg you, this is a very young channel. Help us and subscribe. Click the like button, comment, because we like to read your comments. Thank you for being here. If you are a returning subscriber, thank you very much. If you're a new person, you're very welcome. Please subscribe. Okay, let's get into the business of the day. All right, so this is what we are doing today. This is Gist with Dr. B. So, what do we do here? We empower minds one gist session at a time. So, what can we do? Are there tips to help us remember what we have read? Yes. Whether you're a student or, you know, anyone at any level, and you think there are some things that you read and you don't remember, these tips will come in handy. So stay with us. It's going to be a short video, but it is power packed. How to read to remember. How do we do this? Oh, very simple. Before you start reading, just ask yourself, what do you struggle with the most? Is it to understand or is it to remember? Now, you may think that both of them work hand in hand. Yes, they do. You may think that you can understand without remembering. Yes, you can. You can understand something and then you may not be able to remember it. But is it possible to remember what you did not understand? Maybe. But by the time we are done with the tips that I'm going to share with you, you are going to find out that you will read, you will understand, and you will remember. So you ace whatever it is you're doing, interviews, exams, professional exams, what have you. So I'm going to be giving us five very beautiful short tips for reading and remembering. And then if you stick to the end, you're going to have a bonus tip which is very dear to my heart. Tip number one, make it personal. What are you reading for? Read with a purpose. What are you reading for? Are you reading to pass your exams or are you just reading? So make it personal. Bring up that thing you want to read and tell yourself, oh, I'm reading this because I'm going through this material because I want to understand what it's talking about. I'm reading for a project or for an exam. When you tell yourself what you are reading for, it helps you to improve focus. Now your mind is not all over the place. Let's assume you want to read to write an article, so you are going through people's findings. If you don't tell yourself that you're reading these articles so you can learn something from them to help you with your own article, you will find out that you are going to get very tired going through so many articles. You will end up reading, going through so many without picking points. So you have to tell yourself why you are reading. And then when you tell yourself why you are reading, the next thing you do is to make it personal. Make sure that your mind knows your head is in the game. I'm reading because I want to get 5 points. I'm in this channel because I need to write down 5 points. That's where your mind, all your focus is on that thing that you want to achieve by the time you are done reading. Quickly, let's go to tip number two. Focus on key ideas. Chunk information, divide information into tiny bits, tiny bits. You may have, let's say you are in the university and you have about 3, 4 textbooks to go through before the end of the semester, and you find out that what there are a lot, okay? What do you do? Get these materials, divide them into tiny bits. You don't need to go through 200 pages of paper at the same time. Open page 1. What is it talking about? Is it a definition of key concept? Is it is it a description of an equipment? Focus on it. Pick out those tiny bits so that they will be easy for you to digest. Yes, digest mentally. It will be easy for you to digest tiny bits of information mentally than going through 15 pages of A4 paper. At the end of the day, you find out that you can't really place what you have learned. Everything is in your head, but it is scattered. So bring them down into tiny bits, bite-sized chunks that you can digest mentally, and it will help you to recall it when the need arises. Let's go to tip number 3. Apply the Feynman technique. Yes. If you don't know who Feynman is, Mr. Richard Feynman, well, he came up with this technique and people have been using it. I have used it so many times. What is it? It's just get this concept that a topic that you are interested in reading. Okay? Break it down, summarize it into familiar terms, simple terms. Explain it to yourself. Teach it to yourself or to an audience. You don't even need an audience. Teach yourself if you can't, you know, readily find an audience. Teach yourself. I do it if I have something to read. I like to voice it. So I talk to myself about it when I'm reading it or when I'm done. I try to explain it to myself, pretend that I am a layman, someone who is probably not in the same field or area as me. So I try to explain it to myself. At the end of the day, I find out that when I'm explaining these concepts, I am identifying gaps. What do I mean by gaps? You have identified a concept. Let's say you want to read democracy. That is a topic or a concept. The second step in this 4-step technique is to teach it or explain it. So you're talking to yourself about democracy. The third step is to identify the gaps. Now, when you are talking to yourself about this concept, there will be places, there will be points that you won't be able to explain at that time. When I'm practicing this technique for myself, there are points that I can get to, and I will be like, pay attention to those points. They are the parts you didn't really understand. So you have to go back and refresh your memory on that point. And the last part is summarize it. You can use analogies or stories, something that you can easily merge with what you have read. Okay, 4-step technique. Number 1, identify the concept or choose a topic, choose a concept. Number 2, teach it or explain it to someone or yourself in very simple layman's terms and language. Number 3, identify gaps. What are those gaps? What are those points that you get to that you can't really explain to that person or to yourself in very simple terms? Go back, refresh your memory, and start again from number 1. And then the final one, when you have gotten to number 3, which is identify the gaps, and you find out that you're okay, you can proceed to number 4, which is to summarize everything in simple terms. You can even use analogies to get through. Okay, when you explain concepts in simple language, it helps you to identify gaps or points where your knowledge, where you can't recall. So you just go back and beef up your knowledge on that part. Let's quickly go to tip number 4. Use mnemonics or locus stories. So you can use mnemonics, you can use acronyms, you can even use storytelling. So whatever it is you're reading, see if you can convert them to mnemonics. Mnemonics are when you use the first letters of whatever it is you want to remember. The first letters. Let's say, for example, you want to remember the planets. Okay, so Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn. The first letters are M, V for Venus, E for Earth. Now, when you extract the first letters, only the first letters, they are, you call it acronyms. Only the first letters, acronyms. But when you use these first letters to make words, words that when you merge them together, they become a sentence, it is a mnemonic. For example, instead of using M for Mercury, V for Venus, E for Earth, you know, just acronyms, you can use M for my, V for very, E for elderly. So the planets, you could have my very elderly mom. Yeah, my very elderly mom just saw just saw uncle's nephew. That's Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus. So when you use them to make words that form a sentence, it becomes mnemonics. When you use only the first letters, they are acronyms. And then you can use stories too. Whatever story you can tell to take care of that concept that you're trying to remember, and the story has to resonate with you. It will help you to remember what it is you have read. Now, the fifth tip: pay close attention. These are for my students. If you're a student at any level, pay close attention to your teacher or your lecturer. If you're an undergraduate student or postgraduate, whichever one, pay close attention. Most times, lecturers usually stress or emphasize points that will most likely appear in the exams. Most times, when they teach, they focus on they tend to mention this thing or this definition or this formula over and over and over. Pay close attention, listen, okay, take the point and run with it, use it as a hint, read more on it, okay. And most times you will find out that you will see something that will require that formula that he or she was explaining in the exams. So pay close attention. If you are writing for, if you're preparing for an interview and you are going through different interview materials, pay close attention to questions that come up all the time. Let's say you go through 10 articles or 10 YouTube videos and you find out that this particular question has appeared, instead out of the 10, you have 8. You have to prepare yourself on that question. It is most likely going to appear in your interview too. So let's go to the bonus tip. Remember, we said tip number 1 is, yes, good, make it personal. Tip number 2, divide into tiny bits that you can digest easily mentally. Tip number 3 is what? And number 3 is use the Feynman's technique. Yes, you got it right. Number 4 is use mnemonics or acronyms or stories. And then tip number 5 is to pay close attention to your teacher. Bonus tip. I love this tip so much. If you're still here at this point, thank you so much. It means a whole lot to me. Please subscribe to my channel. I I am here to stay and you are going to make it worthwhile for me. Bonus tip. Let's quickly go to it. I love this tip. Use colored pens. Yes, I love this tip. I love colorful things. I'm sure you can tell by the slides, okay? But you can use colored pens or highlighting markers in your textbooks, in your materials that you want to read. You see, what it does for me personally is when I use these different colors inside my book and I pick the book up to read, open it up, and these colors jump out at me, you'll find out that you will end up revisiting those points that you have highlighted. You have highlighted them. So when you open your book, those points jump out at you. And you don't even need to do so much work. It's like revising what you have already marked. So use different colors of pens or use highlighting pens. They will make you want to open your book because you open it and you see these colors like green, blue, black, or whatever, red, whichever ones that resonate with you. I love this tip a lot. I used them a lot when I was an undergraduate. You just open any of my textbooks and you will see so many colors. So much so that when my siblings got into the university, they loved to look at my books, especially those general courses that you do across the sciences. So they love to read my books. So, yes, use colored pens or highlighting markers. They will make you want to open your book all the time. If you're still here, thank you so much. I want you to go to the comment section and share one thing you have learned or one thing you plan to try. My students all wanted to try the bonus tip. Many of them also wanted to try the Feynman's technique. What tip would you love to try? I would love to read about that in the comment section. So remember, if you have any questions or comments, put them here, okay, in the comment box. If you want it to be private, you can send me a message, an email via gistwithdrb@gmail.com, and I will definitely respond to it. If it is a topic you would want us to explore, go ahead and send it to me. I will definitely respond to it and you will get a shout out. Thank you very much for being here. Please click the subscribe button and we will see you again next time. Thank you.